Welcome to the Retrospect podcast, a show where people come together from different walks of life and discuss a topic from their generation's perspective. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Jason.
Hello, everyone.
And Stoney.
Hello.
And this is probably the first time in,
Couple weeks.
I think
It's been several weeks.
I think it's been a couple months, actually, at this point.
Several.
No, I don't think a couple months. We had a couple guests, and then we had to take
Well,
a
I
break.
think there was one time we had to record at your house because of some other reason that we didn't have a guest. That episode, I don't. But
well, it's the first time back in the original studio.
yeah, we're back. We're back home.
Studio One.
Studio
The
One.
Retrospect podcast is so popular. We have two studios,
Right.
depending on where in the world we
right.
are. We can record at.
Exactly.
You can't narrow us down to one place.
That's right.
Been
Have
real.
mics, we'll travel.
Yeah, right. But
It's been real,
and then of
guys.
course, and then it doesn't help that also, Jason, you got a little bout with.
Yeah, I had believe it or not, I had my third.
This is your
bout.
14th bout with
Third
COVID, isn't it?
bout, yeah, well, I hope it's not
Yeah,
14, but that's the third bout of COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably my worst case.
Really, the worst one. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would have to say it probably hit me harder than the first one. I think the first one though hit my blood pressure harder than this one. But then again, at that time, I don't even think I was on blood pressure medicine.
Oh, really?
At that
Okay.
time. So I had no idea when I had gone to the little health clinic to get tested at that time. I remember I was going to be going out to have dinner with some friends of mine at the homeless house.
Yeah.
And I said, let me go get tested just in case. And I came back positive, and they looked at my blood pressure, and they kind of looked at me like,
You on medicine?
are
for that?
you on medicine? I went, no. Said, well, you probably need to be.
Uh-oh.
And so that kind of prompted me to start, watching that now. And now I was pleased that now it's back in the normal range.
Okay.
I like it.
That's
so
good. Hey.
I take it every morning. So
Okay.
I usually take about 3 readings to give me a good roundabout number about what I'm at. So
Nice.
so yeah. But I'm well. It was a week of just sitting around the house and
yeah.
played a lot of video games.
Yeah. Right
and
now,
just
for those
kinda-
of you that don't know, we're a little behind the curtain. We're recording this on Memorial Day weekend, basically. So we all, or at least I have an extended weekend, and I've been the same way. I've kind of been tidying up around the house, doing some chores here and
Oh
there.
yeah, I
and
mean,
of
I did. I
playing some games,
I cleaned some stuff
Yeah,
up. I
yeah.
organized some things, and
right.
I played some video games.
It's starting to get hot around here, so like I put all the winter stuff away because I know like winter is
It's
gone now.
hot. It's I think they said temps were to feel like temps were over 100.
Ugh.
So
not already.
it's I was out there this morning picking up litter this morning for my first time out. I felt that's like, okay, I can't.
Yep.
I got to ease myself back into things.
Got to have some water on hand.
Yeah, I gotta have water. I'm gonna, tomorrow I'm gonna try to go run, but I'm probably not gonna run as far as I normally do, just to kind of.
I think there's been, at least in our region, I think there's been a heat advisory. So
Yes.
I think I'll be
Yes.
careful.
yeah,
Heat
it's
and humidity.
well. I mean, we are where we are, so it's
not surprised, but,
we're now past past the Memorial Day weekend, so
Yeah.
it's just gonna be heat, at least through maybe October.
Or February.
The thing is, I know you're not wrong, but it's just sad to hear it.
And it's going to get hotter.
I know.
That's the deal. It's going to get hotter. So luckily I've got hopefully we got some vacations planned toward that late September, early October time frame. So
Yeah.
heading to the beach and then heading to the mountains
Nice.
to North Carolina.
Okay.
What about you? They've been strapping you into the spin chamber some more?
Not the spin chamber, but I'm still doing the hyperbaric chamber.
Okay.
And I do 4 days a week. And I do an hour under pressure and 20 to 30 minutes of decompression.
Okay.
And the actual owner, Mr. Troy, he let me try something else that was so fascinating. I did the cryo chamber.
Really?
which is, and he's actually agreed to come on the show to talk about some of these technologies and things like that. And I can't wait to get him on the show.
I've done cryotherapy.
It's a negative, the baby one is a negative 140 degrees.
Whoa.
The advanced one is a negative 175 degrees.
And so you just like stand inside of
You stand inside of it for 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's quick.
And the first, if I can remember, and this is, y'all bear with me, and we have a great editor here, Ian, who will hopefully fix all my mistakes coming forward. But you're in it for 3 minutes, and the first third, about 55 to 60 seconds, you wind up in a fight or flight situation where you're going to get out or you're going to be able to tough it out.
Yeah.
And once you reach that fight or flight situation, your body does things because your brain, even though you're going, oh, dink-a-dink, I know I can walk out of this anytime, your brain doesn't.
Yeah.
And so your brain goes into a switch of what can I save?
Right.
Okay, I know I can live without the legs and the arms. So it starts to kind of, not all of the blood, but it kind of starts to suck the blood into your core to protect your core.
Of course, right.
And then your brain starts to release, and Mr. Troy can do a lot better at this than I can.
Right.
It starts to release adrenaline and dopamine.
Okay.
But I think it's the liver. I think it's the liver. Mr. Troy, please forgive me if I get this wrong, but I'm just going to say the liver for right now.
It'll be on the test later.
Yeah, it'll be on the, thank you. The liver goes, oh, wow, look, I have all this blood now concentrated. Let me start filtering it.
Okay.
And it does things like removes a lot of the bad stuff in your blood. I think the lactic acid floating around in there, and it starts to filter the blood so that when you step out after that 3 minutes, now, a couple of minutes after that, you're still kind of cold.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
But because of the chemicals and the fresh blood and all of this stuff, because I think the blood replicates itself every 3 months, every 90 days or something, and it just filters it, you're on cloud 9.
Dang.
It is a fantastic feeling, but also athletes use it to help repair the muscles because it removes the lactic acid. It does all this. I'll tell you all a funny story. I think it was the second time I did it, and for the listeners, as Ian likes to say, behind the curtain.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I have to walk now because I'm still having a hard time walking with the balance with a cane or a walker.
Right.
And can I tell you, this is not very elegant, or it's very
graceful.
Graceful. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Getting in and out of this big tube.
Right.
Basically, it looks like a submersible submarine.
Yeah.
And you get in, it's hard for me, especially with no balance, to get in and out of it. And then you're in it for this hour and a half, and I'm old, and so I'm like crunched all over, I'm hunched over. And I get out and I move the curtain, and there was probably 7 or 8 LSU athletes there.
Wow.
They use this place a lot.
Okay.
And so they looked at me, and I'm kind of hunched over on my cane, and I looked at them, and I went, I said, wow, guys, are you here for this hyperbaric chamber? And they're like, no, sir, we're here for the cryo chamber. And I said, y'all got to try this. And they're like, really? Why? And I said, I'm 97 years old. Look what it did for me. And the owner's over there, oh, my God. And
that's great.
Yeah. And then the day before, the first time I used it, the people there are really nice.
Right.
And the first time, they said it's going to be an hour pressurized, and then 20 minutes depressurize.
Okay. And
it basically lets the air out very slowly, so you don't pop stuff.
Right.
So they said it would be about 20 minutes. So, but the first day it took 30 minutes. And they were like, oh my God, we're so sorry. We're so sorry. It should have only took 20 minutes. I said, well, that might have been my fault.
Uh-oh.
And they looked at me and they said,
no, I know
how can that be your fault? And I says, well, when it got down to 20 pounds, I pooted, and it made it go back up to 30 pounds. And they're like, oh my God, you're so stupid. You're so stupid.
Oh gosh.
And, but I'm actually enjoying the technology.
Right.
I think it's fascinating. They have a Tesla coil there. We've talked about Nikola Tesla that has these gas tubes on the outside of it. Mm-hmm. And depending on the frequency of the energy that you produce from the tube, it ignites some of these gases.
Strange.
And you sit within 3 to 6 feet of it, and you can hit the mode for energy or healing or focus or constant, just different things depending on what you want, and you can put it on there. They also do light therapy, where there's these fancy red lights that they put on your body, and you're like naked or in your underwear.
Right.
And it does something to your cells at the nuclear level, not nuclear, what word am I looking for? Cellular level or something. Yeah. And it does stuff to you. And people swear by this stuff. And I think it's just fascinating. I can't wait to get Mr. Troy on.
Yeah.
Because this is some fascinating technology.
That's cool.
And we kind of hit on all this a lot of times on the podcast, talking about healing frequencies and energies and things like that.
Right.
And this is one of the first times, other than acupuncture and things like that, I'm delving into it because the hyperbaric chamber is actually fascinating.
Well, I know for everyone else that is listening, it seems like no time has passed, obviously, because we've had an episode every week. But because we've had so many guests on and we've had so many specific things, it is kind of nice to just kind of catch up for a second, because it feels like we've had over a month worth of, a little bit different formatted episodes. But
when we have a guest, we like to concentrate on the guest and let them kind of run the show and I feel like stuff like that.
Well, also, Jason being out for about a week or so, I feel like I haven't sat down and just talked to you guys for what feels
been
like
a while,
2 or 3 weeks or even a month almost. So, but anyways, to kind of get on with what the main topic of today's episode is, you kind of had mentioned something, Stone.
Yes.
About
Miranda's son came to us the other day, and he held his phone out, and he acted like this was the greatest thing. They found Malaysian Flight 307 in the Bermuda Triangle.
Whoa.
Which is actually fake news. It's not real, but I found it fascinating how much he believed this story, even though he found it on TikTok, and y'all know how I feel about all this social media bullshit. But I just thought it would be interesting if we could talk about maybe the Bermuda Triangle, because actually when I was his age, and remember, I'm the boomer from the generation. I'm the old one. One of my dreams or bucket list things was to take a large sailboat and sail into the Bermuda Triangle. And as Jason likes to say, that sounds like tempting fate.
Look, there's a ton of people who go through the Bermuda Triangle. It's one of the most busiest shipping areas in the world.
But even the pirates back in the day used to say something about that area.
I don't necessarily believe in tempting fate. There's a lot of things about the Bermuda Triangle. I mean, we've all heard it. There's all the famous stories associated with ships and planes and people disappearing and all these things, and the amount of things they attribute this phenomena to is through the roof. Some of this stuff. I mean, from the lost city Atlantis to aliens to methane gas, pockets, which is interesting, actually. I've seen how that happens. They've kind of done that in the lab and how that affects a ship. I mean, it just drops a ship straight to the bottom of the ocean without even any. I mean, it's so quick and sudden.
Yeah,
that would have to be a horrifying feeling to all of a sudden be on this big ocean tanker and all of a sudden
get sucked to the bottom.
You're sucked to the bottom. I mean, it's like that would be stuff of nightmares. So, I mean, this area is has provoked a lot of discussion.
Well, the Bermuda Triangle is roughly from Miami to Bermuda to Puerto Rico. That's a huge shipping area. And estimates suggest that more than 1,200 ships have been reported lost in the Bermuda Triangle over the years. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of ships. And of course, the critics or the skeptics will say there are very natural reasons why many of those things happen. Now, some of these, I think, I don't want to discount the fantastical because there could be something going on here that we don't understand. But believe it or not, this area, it was popularized by his name was Charles Bareetz. And he actually popularized the idea of the Bermuda Triangle in his best-selling book, The Bermuda Triangle, published in the
70s.
1974.
I actually read that. I think that was one of the books that inspired me to actually want to do this.
He claimed it was Atlantis. Now, of course, they found the road, the Bimini Road, which another gentleman who we've talked about in this podcast, Edgar Cayce, mentioned that we would find the first indications of the lost city of Atlantis through the Bimini Road. So, the ocean depths get pretty deep out there. I think I read somewhere they're around 19,000 feet. I do know around Puerto Rico, they got the Puerto Rican Trench there, and I think it's around 24 to 25,000 feet deep.
Wow.
So you can only imagine how many probably Spanish treasure galleons are sitting at the bottom of, about 3 and 4 miles down underneath the water. If there's just some way we could actually go reclaim all that lost gold. But yeah, so, but the actual phrase Bermuda Triangle was created in 1964 by Arthur Vincent Gaddis in Argosy. It was a pulp magazine. So that's where the term came from. So it's kind of been known by different names like the Saragossa Sea.
The Devil's Triangle.
The Devil's Triangle. That's another one I read about. Even Christopher Columbus, on his journey to the Americas, reported seeing very strange things in that body of water. So the area has always been associated with some strange things going on. Now, there's a lot of things that are happening in that region of the ocean. You have probably one of the biggest things is probably the Gulf Stream, which is a huge current. It's basically for all intents and purposes, it's like a river that's running in an ocean.
Yeah.
So just that action of that water being pushed and it colliding, there's a lot of storms that form in that area. They come from different direction. Another very scary thing that a lot of seafarers have talked about are rogue waves. I've seen several scientific programs on rogue waves, and nobody knew about them, like how ships would just get swallowed up or come back completely mangled. And the sailors would talk about these monster waves that would just come out of the ocean, just out of the blue.
Now we know those by what? Tsunamis or what's the big waves? What do you call the big wave that comes out because of an earthquake?
Well, that's a tsunami, but a rogue wave is different from a tsunami.
Okay.
A rogue wave is basically, from my understanding, whereas a tsunami is generated through the actions of tectonics and seaquake. So what happens is the crust gets lifted up. So in essence, all that body, water gets pushed up and it causes a bubble. So then that energy starts radiating outward because the water gets displaced. A rogue wave is actually generated through wind. And as several waves come together, they'll form into what they call a giant rogue wave. Matter of fact, if you remember it was a book and then it was a movie made famous, I think in 1972, the Poseidon Adventure.
Yep,
where what wave could topple an ocean liner? Well, there have been reports of rogue waves. I know at oil platforms, of nearly reaching 100 feet high
God,
that just appear. So you can imagine you're out there in the open ocean, and all of a sudden
you just get gobbled up.
You got a 10-story building.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, of a wall of water coming at you, and if it hits you on the side, there's a chance that ship could get toppled. Even the biggest ships can get toppled over. So a lot of this activity is happening, I believe, in this part of the world that probably has contributed to some of these ships just getting swallowed up. Is it an answer for everything? I don't think so. I think it's somewhat a little too. There's some things going on there that kind of bother me on some of these disappearances.
Okay,
but I do believe that the area is very much subject to a lot of erratic weather and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean we are. It's about a 500,000 square miles.
Yep.
But now other people would say it's even bigger. Like the what's it called? I forget the name of that group. It's a national here it is, the Naval History and Heritage Command, which basically kind of debunks a lot of the typical Bermuda Triangle stuff, but they actually say it's about 1.5 million square miles.
Okay. Wow.
So anywhere from 1.5 million to 500,000 square miles.
That's
that
triple.
could be considered that would be considered the Bermuda Triangle. So yeah, I mean they and believe it or not, they've even got other areas around the world that have their own Bermuda Triangles.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yes.
Yep.
There's an area around Alaska that mysteriously thousands of people have disappeared. Planes have disappeared. Right. I don't know what's going on in that area. Matter of fact, somebody that's famous from Louisiana disappeared in that same region. It's kind of what got that thing started.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know by the name of Hale Boggs.
Mm-hmm.
But Hale Boggs was the I believe was the House Majority Leader, and he was on an airplane trip in Alaska with another representative, and the plane went down, and they never found the plane ever.
Also, where like the Bering Strait is,
somewhere in that area. I have to look
because I know
they gave a. I don't have it written down. You can. I encourage people to go look at it, but it's called the Alaska Triangle.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's another area around the Philippine Sea, just east of China. There's an area of ocean that even the Japanese have put out warnings that this is a very dangerous area for ships to be going through. So for whatever reason, there is something going on in certain parts of the world where lines cross.
Yeah.
That seem to have a lot of activity. Whether there's some geomagnetic issue going on there, causes planes to all of a sudden lose control. They can't see where they're going. I know that the Bermuda Triangle was made famous with the Avenger.
Right.
The torpedo bombers, I believe it was 1945,
45, yes.
And it was a training mission. They took off from Fort Lauderdale. I think they were going to Bermuda.
Yeah.
And they disappeared.
Yeah.
Never found them. Now, granted, if all of a sudden they got disoriented and ended up having to ditch the plane in the open ocean, the chances of probably finding anything would be next to slim.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Not to say that we'd maybe see some wreckage, but I don't know. I know kind of that story was kind of popularized in Steven Spielberg's movie, The Close Encounters of the Third Kind, if y'all remember that movie. But yeah, seeing those torpedo pilots coming off the alien spacecraft, I thought that was funny. It's well, that's where those guys have been, So yeah, I don't know. I think one of the famous cases was the y'all may have read about that, the Cyclops.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was in 1910 or 1918?
1918 was the first, I think, recorded big thing.
Yeah,
and that was the
yeah, they say the Cyclops was traveling between
USS Cyclops
traveling between Brazil and the United States with a cargo of 10,800 tons of manganese ore and about
I think I have heard about this.
300 passengers and crew. They say in March of 1918, it inexplicably disappeared without sending a distress call or responding to any radio messages from nearby vessels. They said the weather in the area which the Cyclops was scheduled to traverse has not been bad enough to warrant the belief that the collier foundered in a gale. The New York Times reported, if caught in a storm, radio distress calls could have been sent unless the wireless mast went down suddenly. So that's what I'm saying. That's what to me is just the sudden. Now, could a rogue wave have hit it?
Right.
Could it, in some strange way, could a methane bubble could have hit it? Maybe. But according to the Coast Guard, large methane bubbles haven't been popping up in about 15,000 years. So I'm a bit reluctant to say methane is could be causing that. Another one was a schooner called the Carol Deering, which ran aground in North Carolina in 1921 without its crew. Eerily, they had reportedly left behind a fully prepared meal in the galley, as if they'd been about to sit down to eat.
Wow, that's some scary stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you think about a ship just all of a sudden just runs up on the shore. You go out there and start looking at it, and there's dinner prepared. Everything is there, and all of a sudden there's no people there.
That's crazy, yeah. But yeah, I've heard of things like that happening before, where like a ship pulls up, or a different ship finds some other ship, in the open ocean, and they go to see it or whatever, and nothing has been jostled around, but there's no crew on board at all. It's like,
yeah, they say another one. They said perhaps one of the strangest disappearances happened in 1969 when two keepers at the Great Isaac Lighthouse in the Bahamas suddenly vanished without a trace. See, now that's just people in a lighthouse,
right?
I mean, what's causing that? I don't know. I just. Yeah. I mean, going back to Christopher Columbus, they said, according to his journals, the explorer described seeing a strange fireball crash into the sea while he was traveling through the Bermuda Triangle in the 15th century, and wrote in his ship's log about erratic compass readings in the area. So, I mean, there's something going on,
right,
with the Earth and it's how these magnetic lines lay about and all that. So now I did read some interesting stuff regarding, out of this Naval History and Heritage Command, which kind of talks about magnetic storms and stuff like that would happen, because there is a line. Once I find it here, I'm gonna bring it up to y'all, because I thought this was pretty interesting.
For anybody out there that has the fear of the ocean or other large bodies of water, called thalassophobia, I want to say sorry right here at the top, right here while we're at it, because I don't think this is helping.
I'm gonna tell you what,
because the open ocean is a scary thing.
There's nothing more scary than open water. And I've been. I remember as I was younger, I went fishing offshore.
Yeah.
And we got caught in the outer bands of, at the time, was Hurricane Juan. I was on a 54-foot boat. We had to
Scary.
beach the boat on a barrier island. It got so bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, thank you.
And so, I mean, I remember seeing the waves, just
Yeah.
how the sea changed quick. So I can only imagine looking at a 50-foot wave
Yeah.
coming at you.
Right. Literally just swallowing you whole.
I mean, and you look around you and you're on the open ocean. There ain't no land around you. There's nothing but water. So
stuff,
I don't know if here it is. It goes, also passing through the Devil's Triangle is the 80th meridian.
Oh, okay.
A degree of longitude which extends south from the Hudson Bay through Pittsburgh, then out into the triangle a few miles east of Miami, known as the Agonic Line. It is one of two places in the world where true north and magnetic north are in perfect alignment, and compass variation is unnecessary. An experienced navigator could sail off course several degrees and lead himself hundreds of miles away from his original destination.
Crazy.
They said the same line extends over the North Pole into the other side of the globe, bisecting a portion of the Pacific Ocean east of Japan. This is that other part I was telling you about. There's another part of the world where mysterious disappearances take place. It has been dubbed the Devil's Sea by Philippine and Japanese seamen. Noted for tsunami, the area is considered dangerous by Japanese shipping authorities. Tsunami, often erroneously called tidal waves, which is something different.
Yeah.
In the open sea. Could there be something going on with the magnetic pull of the earth and how that affects things and gets people completely out of whack, and they just simply start flying off into the ocean, and all of a sudden it's run out of gas, and they're like, here we are.
Yep.
We're going to be ditching the sea, and if the radio ain't working,
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. So,
there's a I can't remember what I'll probably look it up in a second. There's also another fear, thalassophobia is the fear of open ocean, like open water. There's another phobia of open space, and I feel like they almost feel parallel in a way of just being.
So they wouldn't want to be in space.
Well, I think they're separate. Obviously, people have different things, but the fear of just the void of space and being an open. And I feel like what I'm saying by kind of being parallel is, again, you're in a place, you're in a point right here, and there's no contact around, especially if the radio goes out or something, where you are alone in this vast body of whatever it may be, space or water, and it's just you're so disconnected from everything. I feel like a human desires of people, contact, land, all those different things, and it just feels like it's crazy.
Well, this whole thing got started really, according to legend, it was in 1881. A ship called the Ellen Austin was sailing from Liverpool to the United States when it encountered an abandoned vessel. So they see this abandoned vessel, and if you see an abandoned vessel out interstate, I'm going to claim that. I'm going to salvage that. Well, the captain sent over a small boat. He got some guys on the ship. They tied it together, and they started coming back. But during the night, they said the ships were separated. And in the morning, the captain found the vessel abandoned anew with no trace of his men.
Get out.
They disappeared.
At that point, I'd be like, that's a ghost ship. I'm out.
Well, I mean, you've heard of the Mary Celeste.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same thing. I mean, it's a ship that just...
Yep.
I mean, there are ships that are just floating out in the open ocean with nobody on them.
Yeah.
How that works, I don't know. I
believe it was the Mary Celeste. That it was that was the
famous ghost ship.
Yeah. I watched a video on that recently about that as well. I think that was the one I was referring to a moment ago, and I couldn't remember the name of it. Where the, they were gonna bring the ship in because they could get salvage money for it.
Of course,
there's a whole lot about.
There's a lot of money in that,
especially when you don't even know what's in the cargo.
Exactly,
because it's all once it's abandoned like that, it's yours.
That's right.
Yep.
So
crazy.
Tow that thing back to shore, make some money. But unfortunately, I mean, think about it. I mean, okay, I see this ship, I claim it. Okay, I want to send a boarding party over there, get it manned up so we can, tie the ropes and do the deal. And all of a sudden then they disappear.
Yep.
What do you make of that? I mean, I that's what I'm saying.
I feel like you want to give it like a good old third time's the charm kind of thing, but at that point, if you got people that are just like disappearing on you, I'd be like,
I think maybe I just tie some ropes. We'll just pull this thing, keeping everybody on board, because I'm telling you, I ain't going on that ship. I mean, that's just not going to do that. But I mean, this area is there. I had no idea they had other strange places on Earth where there are disappearances, but the Alaska Triangle I found was very interesting. I wish I had more information on it, but maybe you can look it up and check it out.
When I typed in the Alaska Triangle, it was all over land. And
it is. It's over land. It's not over sea. That's what I'm saying. Why this particular area? All these people are disappearing and planes are crashing. They can't find anything. I mean, it's just weird. What's going on here? So there's obviously something is happening. I would like to see for them to find the remains of Hale Boggs.
It basically says that they're citing, obviously besides the disappearances, there are...
Did you give the location?
Yes. Let's see. The location says... Well, this one doesn't have the names on it. There's also a show on the History Channel about it, but I believe it's from at the very top, Barrow to Anchorage, way down at the south, and then all the way over to Juneau. And it's like a what do you call it? Like a very narrow triangle.
Okay.
But it's over that entire portion of land.
I believe there's like 20,000 people have gone missing in that area.
Yeah.
And planes have gone, and they cannot find these people at all.
From what the little description I read here, obviously, besides the disappearances, it says that there are sighting of strange creatures, lights in the sky, and encounters with ghosts. Some experts speculate that ley lines or electromagnetic anomalies may be causing these bizarre occurrences within the triangle.
That kind of reminds me a little bit of Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh, well, that's a whole different story.
I know it's easy to discount, and I know we live in a very scientific world where it's easy, and we want to discount things or to provide a rational reason for why things happen. And I'm not ready to completely discount that there may be something going on. Maybe there's something
kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there is something. Maybe there's something going on with the way we don't understand how the Earth operates and how these ley lines work and what effects they have on, just at that right time, at that right moment. Maybe there's a dimension breach, where time and space gets warped. If you talk to people that have experienced these strange things in the Bermuda Triangle, they said the sky turned a different color. I mean, it's strange things. The air felt different. I mean, you could tell there was
the compass is just
the
spinning
compass
around
is spinning around. I mean, there's something obviously going on that.
You got to be at the right place at the right time.
Exactly. And you can't discount these people's stories of what they experience because, I mean, there are plenty of people who have survived strange encounters in the Bermuda Triangle and have talked about it. And, not everything gets swallowed up by a rogue wave. Not to say that can't happen. And I'm sure it does happen. But is there other things that maybe we're uncomfortable? We're uncomfortable, I think, living in a world that we don't understand all of it.
I kind of did some research on that. I want to say this before we delve into that. Despite its reputation, the Bermuda Triangle, by organizations like the U.S. Coast Guard and Lloyd's of London, is not recognized as especially dangerous. In fact, statistical analysis shows the number of incidents in the Bermuda Triangle are not significantly higher proportionally than any other heavily traveled region of the world. But then that was my question on why do we need the Bermuda Triangle? Why do we need mysteries? Why does, especially in America, but really all over the world, everybody has their own mysteries and things like that. Why do we need the Bermuda Triangle? What is so fascinating to us and why?
Well, I think it goes back to what kind of world do you want to live in? I mean, do I want to live in a world where everything can be figured out under a microscope, or is there a degree of the fantastic?
Yeah,
That's really. I mean,
I think that's like the birth of conspiracy theory. I think people like I think people like to be curious. I think people like to, well, especially when I say conspiracy theory, I mean also like, these kind of paranormal things or these unknown events. Is that you get just enough information, but then there's a lot of unknown, a lot of place where the human imagination can fill in the gaps and things like that I think really make.
But it's that mix of fear and curiosity that makes it work. It's two powerful emotions that really drive us as human beings.
Right.
The fear of the unknown coupled with the excitement of discovery, because we are discoverers. That's our nature, is to go out and see, just makes mysteries so captivating for us. It drives us to go find out. Like you said, we need to be able to see it. We want to be able to know what's out there. Even if it's not real or what, we got to go see.
That's right. Yeah.
Mister, I'm going to take a sailboat into the Bermuda Triangle.
I would do it. I couldn't do the sailboat now because I'd lose my balance and fall off, but I would go take a powered boat. I would do it right now. But it's also an escape from reality, too, I think. That's part of it, because I lost time reading about the Bermuda Triangle, wanting to go, using my imagination on what might happen. It was an escape for me to be able to think about going to the Bermuda Triangle.
For the people who actually experience the phenomena of those kind of strange things, it's not anything that they kind of really wanted to experience again.
Yeah.
It was very disconcerting. I remember, matter of fact, I remember some years back watching a special on the Bermuda Triangle regarding those torpedo bombers that disappeared. And I believe one of the pilots was replaced on that flight. And they don't know who it was.
Really?
Yes. I still remember that to this day. Because the show basically ended was, who exactly was the fifth pilot?
Yeah.
Because his record is not there.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's that kind of stuff where it's like, so
you
get just enough information to go, but then like not enough to really answer the question fully. And you're like,
what movie, what show kind of popularized that and made that famous? Was the X-Files?
No, 100%.
It was the X-Files.
Yeah.
I mean, it gave you just enough to go, I don't know. I mean, there's something going on here, but reality is we don't know. I mean, I think the more we know, the more we don't know.
Right.
But I just think that I've always felt like there's so much probably more to our world and energy, and Nikola Tesla kind of tapped into some of this stuff, and so I believe Edgar Casey tapped into some of this stuff. You think of people who tap into these things,
The Retrospect podcast actually has tapped into this stuff.
Yes,
too.
we've tapped into a lot of it lately. But it's good stuff to talk about because it is a part of the lexicon. I mean, the Bermuda Triangle is about as a common name in a household as apple pie.
Yes.
I mean, it really is because there are some things going on here. Some would say it's all natural. I would venture to say storms and rogue waves, and I would easily see how things that mess with magnetic instruments, how that can get kind of whacked, or magnetic storms.
Yeah.
What bothers me, though, are some of the people have experienced these things and some of the things they saw. And how, like, space-time got torn. It lost time on the clock. I do believe that, I do believe that there could be wormholes. Just at that right moment, the right conditions come together for something to happen, and you just happen to be in a wrong place
like you
at
said
the
earlier,
wrong time when it happens.
Like you said earlier, small dimensional rifts.
Right.
What if there's just a little rift somewhere that, because I believe there are multi-dimensions that we live in.
Who knows? Maybe these people, they disappeared. They're now in this other dimension that looks like ours.
Yeah.
Because
now that's a whole different ball game. Now we're getting into parallel universes.
Think about like this too. Time travel is possible.
Yes.
Okay, think about it. We live in half of the world of time travel. Every minute we exist, we just traveled in time. Just because we haven't figured out how to go back yet doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
No, because time doesn't disappear.
Right.
It's always there. And so the idea of, that's where we get the idea of, just warping time and talked about it, but we just haven't developed. I think for us to try to get to that level, we'd probably need to master some sort of anti-grav tech to be able to do that. But I mean, theoretically, it's possible to go back in time. Practically, how that would work, I don't know, but.
What was that movie? This would be something for Ian and his other podcast. The aircraft carrier. What was the big aircraft?
Final Countdown?
The Final Countdown. That's
great
it.
show.
That was a great movie because, Ian, they went back in time right as Pearl Harbor was fixing to happen.
Oh, gosh.
And what could you do with a modern-day aircraft carrier right before Pearl Harbor?
Because that was the discussion they were having, and we were like, we could stop this, and they were like,
How
would we alter history? What are the unintended consequences if America doesn't get attacked?
Right.
We don't really go into World War II.
Yeah.
How does that change our role in the world?
Movie. That was a good, and the way it ended.
Oh yeah,
the way it ended. Yes.
Yeah, I remember he opened the what was it?
Don't give it out.
Yeah,
Don't give it out.
Oh, it was good though.
Yeah.
The limo.
Good. Yeah.
Yes.
Time travel's have really been a big thing for me. I'm always like, just leave, especially with movies and shows and stuff, because sometimes they do it poorly, but it sounds like this one does it pretty good. But the implications of time travel get really scary and convoluted and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Time is a messy thing.
Well,
now,
we're living in time travel. We are experiencing time travel.
Well, it's already
now.
It's already been proven. I think what's it called? Whenever time dilation, that like depending on gravitational and movement, all that kind of stuff, and how all that plays into time moves faster depending on gravity and all that kind of stuff and whatnot. So it's like. And again, once you start talking about that, it gets real scary about all that. And
well, I love the conversation of, okay, let's say you're in your car and you're driving at the speed of light, and you turn your headlights on, can you see them?
I would say no.
I don't think the light would be in front of you. I think the light you're going to
be behind you.
Now, if you had your headlights on and then traveled up to the speed of light, they would be in front of you.
Right.
But if you turn them on as you're traveling at the speed of light, you would not see them.
No, of course.
Food for thought, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
Food for thought.
That's something to chew on, everyone.
Yeah. Just think about that's one of the things that I've realized I have a bit of an irrational fear of is time dilation. And when it comes to like space travel, I know that I will never probably have to worry about that. Maybe
Planet of the Apes.
is that's the whole thing that's like super
Interstellar, the movie Interstellar,
Yes,
Matthew
100%.
McConaughey really dived into that, which I thought they did a really good job of kind of, using the gravity of the planet to wrap around and how that affected time.
Yeah. There's an animated series or a movie, I'm not sure which one it is, called Gunbuster that also does that as well, that talks about time dilation and uses it. And these special fighters go off of Earth to go take care of this alien threat that is, far out in space before they get too close. But it all ends up kind of wrapping up with the fact that like the travel there and then the travel back has been so many years that like you're going there to go fight this threat for a civilization that don't even know who you are yet. And it's like, whoa. And so you're protecting your home planet, you're protecting your own species in the future, technically, but anyways, it's crazy. But you're right though. Interstellar definitely gives me that kind of that weird sinking feeling in my chest of like, oh gosh, I don't like that at all. Of like, you returning back home and it having been hundreds of years, like that makes me feel so uneasy and so
if I recall in that movie, he comes back and his daughter is this old woman. She's dying and he's still a young guy,
exactly.
And,
such a sad movie, but a great one. I mean, I would 100% recommend watching Interstellar. It's a great movie.
Yeah, it was good.
We would recommend Final Countdown.
Okay, got it.
So, but I kind of like this little saying by the writer Vincent Gaddis, who coined the term in the article "The Deadly Bermuda Triangle" in Argosy magazine in February 1964. He goes, the Bermuda Triangle, you talked about why we want to believe. Mm-hmm. So the Bermuda Triangle underlies the fact that despite swift wings and the voice of radio, we still have a world large enough so that men and their machines and ships can disappear without a trace.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, that's neat.
That's well written. But it's also true.
That's what I'm saying. As fancy as our latest,
it's
technological gadgets and
but think about this: we've discovered more of space than we have our own oceans.
Yeah, well, the problem is it's trying to explore our oceans.
Yeah,
I believe there's a ton of resources we could exploit in the bottom of the sea that we just the dangers of trying to find resources at 26,000 feet down. I mean, just the pressure would crush you.
And then you drill 1 inch too far and you let out all the core. Oops. Oh, now what do you do?
Well, believe it or not, the core is even further. We couldn't dig. We would have to dig a long way.
I haven't read it though, but I have a lot of friends that enjoy it.
Because you got to go through the mantle first.
Yeah.
I mean, the crust of the earth is
small.
But it's still several miles, and it may be
H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh yeah,
the Call of Cthulhu. You go a little too deep, and you wake up something that you shouldn't wake up or whatever. That's where my mind goes sometimes. Of like, we know there's a lot of different creatures and beings and things like that are down at the deepest part of the ocean. That's scary.
Well, I mean, we don't know what's down there. I mean, we do know we did find a creature of legend that nobody knew existed that they
Right.
finally proved was the giant squid.
Yeah.
You know, nobody knew existed. You know,
The Leviathan, yeah.
sailors talked about this gigantic thing with tentacles. So I can imagine in a wooden chip
Oh, yeah.
and how small they were.
Yeah.
You know, when they would see occasionally a giant squid that just in their travels of how scary that would be. Yeah, I could see where the stories of the Kraken,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, and all that would come from. I mean, giant squid are huge.
Yeah. Especially if it starts taking down parts of the ship or something.
Yeah, well, they're not that big.
Yeah.
I mean, sperm whales do eat them.
That's
So,
crazy.
yeah, they.
But who's to say that, again, a couple hundred years ago, that maybe there was one big enough to
well,
just
I mean,
grab
I'm
a
not
ship.
saying. I'm saying that
Yeah.
there could be. Well, I look. There are people still believe that megalodon still, which is a scary thought.
Yeah.
You know, of a 50-foot shark
Right.
still floating out there somewhere. I can't even imagine coming across a shark that big.
Well, these are approximates. The continental plate is 5 to 25 miles thick.
Okay.
The mantle is 1,800 miles thick. That flows with the consistency of asphalt. The outer core is 1,400, which is a liquid state, and the inner core is 800 miles thick, with iron and nickel in a solid state.
So that's what I'm saying. You're only tapping the surface, even at 25,000 feet deep.
But
Okay.
wasn't there a report a couple years ago that Russia was trying to actually make it to the core because of the minerals and things that they thought they could get out of the mantle?
I mean, I would
Yeah.
think the same problem you would have going into the depths that you're dealing with the pressure
and
issues.
the pressure and heat, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's where the diamonds are made.
You're dealing with now you're dealing with the very forces of the universe itself and how energy and collapses and gravity causes it to come together, and it goes back to how the Earth was created as a flaming ball, and then it just cools, and then
What if you could have a little time machine right on the front of the drill bit that kept it cool all the way down, and then
think
came
about
back
it.
out?
It's a ton. I mean, it would be. I mean, from a geologic standpoint, the amount of minerals that are probably down to those levels of the Earth are probably unbelievable.
It almost sounds like it would be easier to get them off the moon than it would be our own.
Probably be that or mining asteroids. There's a ton of very rich minerals that are floating around in our solar system on asteroids that would be gold, nickel.
Oh, yeah.
All the rare metals. I can only imagine how that would play out. But yeah, I mean, it's we are. We have a lot to learn, and this article, this one I was reading here, just really cast a lot of dispersions on, I guess, people who subscribe to it was aliens or whatever the case may be, and I'm not saying it's aliens or it's not aliens or it could be aliens involved. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then, of course, after the torpedo bombers that disappeared, then they sent another plane to go find them, and it disappeared.
Yep.
Again, at a certain point, you got to.
Seems like the third guy doesn't go,
Yeah,
right? They didn't send the third one, and then on that
no.
ship, they didn't. Yeah.
I would definitely abstain from going and be like, no, I think I'm all right.
But you say, like in here, I mean, they talk about that Mariner that disappeared. They said the PBM Mariner was specifically designed as a rescue plane with the ability to remain aloft for 24 hours. But the Mariners were nicknamed flying gas tanks who flew them. It was common for a pilot to search the crew members before each flight for matches or cigarette lighters because gas fumes were often present. So I guess the plane was specially designed to carry a lot of fuel so he could stay up. So you set off a spark.
Oh, the whole thing's going
The
up.
whole thing is going up. So could this thing have blown up?
Yeah, but that was something also with
to me
Amelia Earhart. She had so much fuel on there, and smoking was commonplace then. Everybody smoked. Everybody had a lighter. They had a couple packs of cigarettes. Someone explored that, with the Amelia Earhart thing.
Did y'all read about the SS Marine Sulphur Queen?
I did.
No.
Yeah, that was bound for Norfolk, Virginia from Beaumont, Texas. The tanker was last heard of on February 3rd, 1963, when she routinely radioed her position. The message placed her near Key West in the Florida Straits. 3 days later, Coast Guard searchers found a solitary life jacket bobbing in calm seas 40 miles southwest of the tanker's last known position. Another sign of the missing tanker or her 39-man crew have never been found.
Jeez, 39?
She was carrying molten sulfur.
Yeah.
That's
never
crazy.
found.
Almost 40, or basically 40 people disappeared. That's crazy.
Now, no one, they said she may have blown up, but they said, writing in the Seamen's Church Institute of New York's magazine, The Lookout, Paul Brock said that officers on a Honduras flag banana boat reported to the Coast Guard that their freighter ran into a strong odor 15 miles off of Cape San Antonio, the western tip of Cuba, just before dawn on February the 3rd. The odor was acrid.
Sulfur.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, it's, they've got, they seem to have an answer for everything, just like you kind of mentioned earlier. So, once again, what kind of world do you want to live in? Do you want a world that everything has a rational explanation, or do you want to live in a world that there may be some fantastical things?
You're right.
I think that's what keeps the human going, is the unknown.
Right.
Just the unknown. Yeah. I don't want to know everything. I want something to be there to push me and drag me along to something else.
But I think for a lot of people, it scares people. Mm-hmm. People want rational explanations. Because when people can't rationally explain something, then all of a sudden fear. Because then I don't know. I mean, just think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just think of what fear does to people. I mean, just look what happened when the COVID pandemic happened.
100%.
When no one knew anything about this stuff.
It's coming from COVID boy over there.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, but just think, I'm just speaking of this, the general fear. And then once we kind of now understood it, then it's not as scary.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in many ways, the same thing about the Bermuda Triangle or the Alaska Triangle or the Devil's Sea in the Pacific. I attempt to try to explain it because once I can explain it, then it's not mysterious anymore. Mm-hmm. And when it's not mysterious anymore, then I'm not afraid of it because I don't know what to expect when something's mysterious.
Right.
We don't. I mean, we don't like to operate.
Well, there's some people.
That's why people want to when you talk about paranormal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's always trying to, it's putting off a light wave or whatever, explanation.
Well, some people just thrive in their comfort zone. They're happy in their comfort zone, and they don't need anything else other than that. I'm not one of those people. I believe that life exists and thrives right outside of your comfort zone. If you sit in your comfort zone, you're boring. You're never going to be pushed to anything, and you can't achieve greatness. Discoverers achieve greatness.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I can imagine. I think about Christopher Columbus, because back at that time, they thought they were going to fail and fall off the face of the earth.
Right.
So, yeah, I do believe you got to kind of sometimes brave the elements, so to speak, and get out there and see what the world holds. But
see what's out there.
I still not going to get on a boat just to go out into the Bermuda.
So the three of us can't do the show going out to the Bermuda Triangle?
No. That's
really?
No. It's
What?
all right. No, I really don't.
I mean, if you guys want to go first, and then once you come back safely, then I'll go in the second round. But if
I
you guys
guess
don't come
I've
back and go
actually
first-
been through the Bermuda Triangle on a cruise ship.
Really?
Yeah, because we took off from Cape Canaveral
Mhm.
and went down to the Bahamas. So yeah, I was in the Bermuda Triangle. If I remember, the weather was beautiful.
Okay. The sky
Seas
change
were
colors.
calm.
Yeah.
Nah,
No
no-
methane smells?
Yeah.
No
right.
methane smells, no weird lights in the
No
sky,
krakens or
no krakens, no giant sea monsters
Yeah.
I saw. It was a very calm trip. So,
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well,
but I still would rather, if you're going to go out now, if you want to go on a cruise ship, sure. But just go on a motorboat, nah, it's all right.
that's also a pretty far
guys
distance
suck.
away from land. I think to be on a boat like that, you got to go pretty far.
Not really. It's from Miami
Oh, well, I
that
guess you're
way.
right.
So you could
But-
you could
It's
walk.
actually from Cape Canaveral, from where I took
So you
off.
could technically walk there, if you could walk on water. So
Yeah, we got, I forget how long it was, how long
mhm.
it took us a day.
Okay.
Then the next morning we were in the Bahamas.
Well, I think that's a good time as any. I mean, I feel like we really touched on a lot of really awesome stuff for this topic. Specifically, again, I wanted to shout out the YouTube channel that we have. You can go on to either go in the search bar and type at Retrospect Pod, or you can type in youtube.com/Retrospect Pod, and you can find the YouTube channel that way. All of it is uploaded there, and also with YouTube Music, and it's all in that YouTube sphere now that Google Podcast isn't a thing anymore.
Yeah, but don't forget about our Spotify.
Of course, yeah, you can do all
those.
those. Well, it's really cool too because you can actually like each episode, or you can comment on one specifically directly underneath it. It's been really cool to be able to see, YouTube kind of incorporate all that stuff now. So for anybody that listens on that platform, you can reach out to us that way now too. You can leave a little comment or like or subscribe, that kind of stuff. It's been really cool. As always, you can of course reach out to us on Facebook at Retrospect Pod or at our email address, getoffendedtogether@gmail.com.
And our website.
And our website too as well.
Still working on it. But
Yeah,
I am
exactly.
working on it. www.retrospectpodcast.com.
Love it. But anyways, until next week, thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone, and God bless.
This is a great episode. The Bermuda Triangle is a perfect example of how human fascination with the unknown evolves with access to information and cultural influences. Each generation brings a unique perspective to this enduring journey, blending curiosity, skepticism, and a touch of imagination. Until next time, keep questioning and keep exploring. You're the best. Peace.